What if a counterfeit Apple product didn't suck? It's not terrible, but it's just solidly mid, as the kids say today. Although this guy is hiding one dirty secret on the inside. We'll get to that. I made a video about the Apple Superdrive and someone thought I bought a fake one on eBay because it didn't have the Apple logo on the underside of the drive. That made me double check, but contrary to that, mine does have the Apple logo, so it's definitely legitimate. Well, that's not the only reason I know it's legit, and we'll see why later in the video. The Apple logo is kind of hard to see on video. Apple counterfeits aren't exactly new or rare, especially for the AirPod family, but for an Apple Superdrive? Well, I don't know about you, but that's certainly new to me. So I bought one. Can you guess which is the real Superdrive? I'm pretty sure you could tell just by that brief clip which was the real Superdrive. And I was at a loss where to find one of these until I remembered Temu, the world's leading seller in future landfill chaff and e-waste. Sure enough, I found a listing just by searching Apple Superdrive. The fascinating part is it comes in two options, USB 2.0 and USB 3.0. For reference, the original Superdrive is USB 2.0, and it appears that Temu is out of the USB 2.0 version, so it's USB 3.0 for me. USB 3.0 won't help out with speed as the fastest DVD drives on the market are 24x, which translates to roughly 33 megabytes a second. This fits in nicely with the real-world limitations of USB 2.0, just barely at 30 to 40 megabytes a second. This won't be a surprise, but this drive does not read DVDs at 24x. Now, what is a surprise is how good Ugreen chargers are. How's that for a segue? It's been about 2 years since I bought a Ugreen 3-port GAN charger with my own money. It's been my default packable charger and has gone with me on several adventures, including Europe. I even made a video review about the charger. I've been on YouTube for 3 years, and this is the first product I've taken a sponsorship for. This is the Ugreen Nexode X 160-watt GAN charger. It's an absolute monster in a tiny form factor. It has 4 ports and yet is somehow smaller than my 3-port 140-watt charger and my other 140-watt charger. All of these chargers are GAN technology, but this is the smallest of the GAN ones. This little charger can simultaneously charge 3 laptops at once and an iPhone. Of course, this is an absurd demonstration, but it works well for my travel needs as I can charge my laptop, phone, watch, and battery all at once. It can deliver up to 140 watts off a single port to charge a MacBook Pro to 50% in 27 minutes. It uses Ugreen's Thermal Guard Protection System 2.0 to protect your devices from short circuit, over voltage, over temperature, and over current. The TLDR is if you're looking for a compact, high wattage multi-charger. I can't recommend this one enough. Links and information are in the description. Thanks again to Ugreen for sponsoring this segment. Now back to the video. Fast forward 2 weeks into the future and it's shipped from China to my front door. The counterfeit Superdrive is strikingly similar at first glance. It's aluminum colored, and it has a hardwired short cable just like the Superdrive, and it's pretty damn close to the exact same size. Flip it over and the bomb looks almost exactly the same, except it's missing the Apple logo, just like the guy who commented on my video said. Visually, there's another dead giveaway, and that it lacks the raised black bottom base bevel. It's somewhat passable, but the quality is not that of the Superdrive. As I already spoiled, this is made from cheap plastic painted to look like aluminum. Thus it's much lighter, and you can really see the lack of craftsmanship around the drive slot. Basically, it's a shoddy case. However, what isn't shoddy is the drive itself. After plugging it in, it's recognized by the Apple System Profiler as a Mastheta DVD-R UJ898. This is a drive that was used by Apple in 2008 and 2009 MacBook Pros, and my gut feeling is this is upcycling. It's a used laptop drive that's now finding a second life as an external DVD-RW. Using the Apple System Profiler, I compared this against the Apple Superdrive and the optical drives found in my MacBook Pro 2012 and MacBook 2007. The only major difference is this drive does not support CD-RAW, which allows for more direct control of data, including sub-channel data, which is generally used for creating disks with certain copy protection mechanisms. This is not terribly important, just an interesting deviation from the other drives. Modern macOS still supports optical media, so just pop in a disk and it'll mount, albeit slower than the Apple Superdrive would. To test out this drive, I created a CD using the popular open source utility Burn. It should not come as a surprise that I was able to burn a perfectly functional CD-ROM at 24x, which is the same speed as the Apple Superdrive's maximum CD burning capability, and its DVD-RW speed is capped at the same 6x as the Apple Superdrive. The performance is nearly identical, minus the slower mount and eject speeds. This is a solid drive after all. Apple did ship this in several of its MacBook models. Now it does have one surprising advantage over the original. The Apple Superdrive has one caveat where it does not work with most USB hubs and requires generally to be plugged into the computer directly. Just so we're 100% clear, this is plugged into a USB hub right now. So if I try and stick in this disk, it won't accept it. Commenters on my previous video mentioned that the Superdrive does go over the USB 2.0 spec for power draw, and I can't find any information to confirm this, but it does seem pretty reasonable. USB 3.0 delivers 4.5 watts at 5 volts, which is nearly double USB 2.0's 2.5 watts at 5 volts. This means the counterfeit drive, being USB 3.0, can operate within spec and thus is much more forgiving about where it's plugged into. This is not anything to get excited over, as most external DVD-RWs today are USB 3.0 and thus can be bus powered. As far as the counterfeit goes, outside of the very cheap casing, this is a usable product. You're not entirely getting scammed, as it's not packaged or advertised as an Apple Superdrive, or at least this one was not. And while I'm positive someone somewhere at some point has tried to pass this off as the real deal, if they had, at least it functions fairly closely to the original. This is no way a defense of scamming, but I'd take this over AirPod Max clones. There's a few things that bother me about this product other than the cheap casing. The first is the price. There is an absolute glut of Amazon, AliExpress, Temu front-loading DVD-RWs that sell for about $20, and they are likely a bit faster. Often you'll even find Blu-ray writers at this price point. Another knock against this is if you want the real deal, there's tons of Superdrives on eBay. I picked up my Superdrive for $20 shipped. The Superdrive is used, but I'm positive this drive is too, so let's pop it open. I overshot this trying to use my iFixit tools, only to realize that brute force is my friend. A few hard presses and the drive popped open. Inside, there's no surprises. We get a nondescript DVD-RW drive and a simple USB controller chipset. Now, if you look very closely, you can see scuffs and signs of wear and tear, and this label looks just a little too new. If we peel this label back, this is where things get interesting. The upcycler, for whatever reason, used a yellow piece of paper to separate the sticker. My guess is so the sticker wouldn't warp over the indents on the drive. Lifting up the other corner and we can see the actual drive with a manufacture date of 2010, confirming my suspicion that this drive was indeed upcycled. I personally don't have a problem with this and actually appreciate that it's recycled, only that they didn't clearly label it as upcycled or refurbished. This is by far the scammiest thing about this drive, and if I had to guess, if you were to buy a non-brand name DVD-RW on Amazon.com, it'd be the exact same thing, as Amazon is basically as shitty as Temu or AliExpress these days. I have to wonder who this counterfeit is targeting. Apple does still sell a Superdrive for $79 brand new, but it's not like people even in 2009 were clamoring for the Superdrive. It was a begrudging purchase at best, and certainly these knockoffs came out years later. I was really expecting a product I could make fun of, and boy does it ever have "we have a Superdrive at home" energy, but it's a knockoff that knows it's a knockoff. It'd been far more amusing had it come in a poorly copied Apple box rather than generic cardboard and sported an Apple logo. It's perfectly usable, although a little scummy for not being honest about being a refurbed item. I fully expected this to be comically mislabeled or not to work or to break within first use. Instead, I got an optical drive that was good enough for Apple in 2010, which is about the time that optical drives stopped progressing. So yeah, if you happen to have one of these and never knew it wasn't an official Apple product, that wouldn't be too surprising. I'd love to hear from anyone who has one of these fake Superdrives, how they acquired it, and if they liked it. If you're the type of person who found this video interesting or entertaining, I have an entire series about optical media and macOS, and it should be on screen in a playlist, like over here or there, wherever. It should be on screen, click it, and you can check out those videos. Also, I'd like to thank my Patreons, as they're the people that let me afford to buy useless junk like this and make videos about it, so you don't buy useless junk like this. Thanks for watching. While working on this video, I managed to break this little wire, so now this drive's no longer functional. I guess I could fix it, but whatever.